What's the outlook for the Arizona Cardinals for the remainder of 2024? And can this defense be top 5 in 2025? Let's discuss. Welcome in, Locked On Cardinals. Alex Clancy here. Follow me on Twitter, Clancy's Corner. Follow the podcast at Locked On AZ Cards. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen, free wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by the Game Time app. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Listen, I've been in sports radio in Phoenix since 2011, hosting this podcast. This is my 8th season. I told you the season was going to be exciting before the season started, and it is not disappointed. It's looked very different from what we maybe thought going into the season, but a lot of questions have been answered, many positive, and the Cardinals are in the hunt after 15 weeks, which is, the moniker that I had for a successful season. Bringing somebody on here who you might know, you might probably won't want to forget. Very nice gentleman. Used to grace the presence here with Locked On Cardinals as well. Brack of PHNX Cardinals joining me again. Bo, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. That's probably the kindest intro you've ever given me. It was without pop shot after pop shot. But, Clancy, I'm sitting here trying to pick up the pieces, after a 30-17 victory. It's a devastating win for the Arizona Cardinals. If you were to follow the Twitter streets and a lot of what even my co-host is saying about this team, and I'm kind of scratching my head about it. Like, of course, we want to see Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. get on the same page. But to say that this wasn't a bit of a get-right game with 3 total touchdowns from the offense, putting up 30 points against a bad Patriots team, sure, they were expected to do that, and they did that. But then to say, well, it didn't look specifically like this, I think that's getting a little greedy around this holiday season.
Yeah, they haven't won one specific way all year. Even during the winning streak, it was Kyler was bored because they were running so much. Or then, in Miami, where he was throwing the ball over the yard. Like, it looks different every time. And I think that's part of why there's some vitriol. It's like, what is this offense? Because you never know. And you say, well, you take what the defense gives to you and you do this. Normally, offenses have a strength. And the Cardinals' strength in the offense is running the ball. But it hasn't always been when they've won games. So it's just been, I don't know, it's been a mystery. We have no idea what the hell is going to happen. You've got the Spider-Man meme where Kyler Murray and Drew Petzing are pointing at each other because everybody's blaming them both equally. Yeah. And it's something that if you would have told me through 15 weeks they'd be 7-7, we're throwing a Tinker Tape parade. But with how they got here, especially as of late with a 3-game slide, fans they're not content with what's going on. Now, talk to me about the outlook. Because, they got a dub against a team they were supposed to beat. The defense looked good. The offense still looked disjointed. James Conner over 100 yards. He's going to shatter his record from last year. Like, what's the outlook? They've got a cake schedule compared to what the season started. Seattle's down a quarterback potentially. The Rams are ramping. Like, give me your thoughts after the Week 15 win for the remainder of the season.
I think what you really have to do is you have to brace for impact one last time. I really do. I think this is a collision course for Week 17 with the Los Angeles Rams, biggest game now on the schedule. I think you're putting behind you. I don't think you could ever fully kind of gloss over the previous 3 weeks to the win over the Patriots yesterday. There was, the chances slipped through your hands of a huge opportunity to take advantage of maybe a down division in the NFC West, but the opportunity remains there, and you can either change the narrative or you can pour gasoline on it come Week 17. But they've got a game in between now and then, a feisty Carolina Panthers team that I think kind of took a couple steps back on Sunday and their loss to the Dallas Cowboys. But as far as what's left to play for, everything. I mean, absolutely everything with the chance to kind of control your own destiny, but standing in your way is somebody that you helped kind of change the narrative a little bit in Week 2 with just a thumping of the Rams, but a definite better Rams team now playing now and in Week 17 than was playing in Week 2. So it is an absolute just buckle up here in the next couple of weeks for this Cardinals team. They're playing meaningful football games in December. So like if you pull back and you just look at it from that perspective, it's an absolute dub.
Yeah, and Kyler, like I think the narrative would have been a little different if we didn't see what we saw with the flipsies again twice in 4 weeks. They got called back. Some things it's just like, oh well, you knew, like, it's not like an Aaron Rodgers, oh, somebody jumped, so I'm going to throw it behind my back between my legs and hope to get a completion that's longer than 5 yards because it's going to be a free play anyways. Like, things like that are inexcusable this time in his career. You and I have been very, like, over the course of us hosting together, we witnessed, him get drafted one where both of us thought maybe Nick Bosa or Quinnen Williams. Like, it's been such an interesting, journey watching this guy. You and I have both been in the camp that he's been the guy. He hasn't really been given the best opportunities to succeed. We're starting to see that, but there's a couple of things that are just, that's 3. LA, Seattle with the pick 6, and then Sunday. It's like, those things can't happen for any NFL quarterback, let a college quarterback, especially for somebody of his stature.
It's really strange. Like, and even his post-game press conference, like, he did say what you're supposed to say is like, that can't happen. But then he's like, he maintained, like, he hit me in the head. Let's not forget, like, it was the cardinal sin. You can't hit, the quarterback in the head. And, like, the theatrics that we saw to kind of help with that bailout, I think Kyler understood how big of a blunder once again that was. And hopefully that's worked out of his system. I mean, but now he's done it, especially over the last 4 weeks, week in and week out. Like, you really have to work it out. And I don't know if it's a bit of maybe the quarterback yips. One thing I liked about early on in this courtship between the new play caller and Drew Petzing and this offense, and how it was better than the previous, offense, and Cliff Kingsbury, and how Kyler pointed to more of an infrastructure. He doesn't have to play hero ball. Mm-hmm. But really what he's put himself in trouble doing is putting on himself to make a play and put on the cape and try to do something that's not there. And I think he's just going to have to – it probably doesn't result in a 15-yard personal foul penalty that gets you a first down, but it takes that play off tape where you're just trying to do too much for a 4th consecutive week.
Yeah, I know that old habits die hard, but we're 18 months removed from that. So I agree with you. It's like, that doesn't need to be something that he has to do. But, I mean, first of all, throw it into the ground, flip it like Patrick Mahomes does. You don't have to get it airborne. Throw it at the guy's feet. Take an intentional grounding call. Like, there's so many other things that could be worse than what he did that they got called back. So it's going to be a non-issue moving forward. It's just, you can't not see what you saw, even though the play didn't count. Now, with Kyler, the one thing that I don't really understand, and the broadcast was saying that even his dad and his uncle are like, run the ball, dude. I feel like at this point, he's so manicured to not make a mistake that he's missing out on potentially huge opportunities. If he throws an interception targeting Marvin Harrison Jr. down the field, you'll take it. Like, it's people throw interceptions. He's so scared to make a mistake. I don't know if it's injury with running. I don't know if it's, he can always look for a better option. Yeah. It doesn't look like he's comfortable in spaces as much as he was last year when he came back, not just before, he got injured.
Yeah, I think that maybe a little bit of the newness wore off, and it created a little bit of a hesitation, maybe some bad habits. It did feel like when he came back, he was more willing to just kind of rip it and live with the mistakes, where now it's like the mistakes, I think, are a product of not wanting to make mistakes, where it should be like what you're saying is like, hey, if you just stand in there and you let one loose to Marvin Harrison Jr. and it gets, picked off, people aren't going to crush you for it. But now it's like, hey, I'm trying to avoid this, and then I'm also trying to not make a mistake, but I'm going to make a monumental mistake. It's really unfortunate. I think that really was the worst part of his game yesterday. That was a really, solid performance from Kyler Murray. I mean, what he was able to accomplish on 3rd down, what they were able to accomplish offensively on 3rd down, going 7 for 10, passing the football with all 7 of his completions being for first down, chain moving plays. I mean, that's a big, I think, positive for this offense. And like, he doesn't have a touchdown pass. I think, credit to Christian Gonzalez for breaking up the one against Marvin Harrison Jr. You still can't get Trey McBride in there. They tried the little shovel pass, didn't work. They took their shots. They didn't work out. But at the end of the day, offensively, they did what they needed to do to produce, find the end zone 3 times, matching their, total for the previous 3 weeks. You took your shots, didn't work, but still offensively, I think you had an efficient game.
Yeah, and they scored touchdowns and didn't kick field goals. I mean,
Yeah.
except for, the Chad Ryland, that's one thing for me that, we don't have time to talk about today, but it's just like, one of my biggest issues with the offense is currently constructed is they're still relying 3rd and 8, get into field goal range, kick a 48-yarder. Like, this dude didn't have a job last year for a reason. So he's been great. Okay. He's been fantastic. He's won 3 games for them. And we're starting to see pumpkin. And if you're looking at it like this, where it's like, this is how you're going to put up points, it can't be relied upon like it was in the vacuum that it was. I mean, is that fair? Like, that's just one gripe I have with this. I'd much rather Kyler throw beyond the sticks than throw to Trey McBride 3 yards in front of him. And if he doesn't make a play, they're still in field goal range.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I did see a little bit more aggressiveness in especially in like the long situations. You saw a less conservative approach, which was refreshing, but it's just like, it was as conservative as it could possibly be to allow your points. Like, hey, we're just going to, run a draw here and throw check down and just accept, our 4th and 11 and punt it away, or our 4th and 11 and kick it, where, you don't have your reliable punter any longer, and your place kicker is proven to be a little bit unreliable than you initially kind of learned about him early in the honeymoon phase. So yeah, it is. You would hope that this offense is wanting a little bit more for itself, and understanding that you settle for field goals. It's a good way to get beat.
Brack of PHNX Cardinals joining me. Is the defense going to be top 5 in 2025? Are they trending that way? We'll discuss that next. This episode of Locked On Cardinals is brought to you by our friends over at Bank, the Game Time app. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. It's so simple to open the app, search for what you want. There's this all-in toggling option so you don't have to guess okay, so what's the final total going to be? I like this number, but what's the final total going to be? You can toggle to all-in pricing. It gives you the exact number that you will pay if you buy those tickets. This panoramic seat view is out of this world. So I went to a game at Levi Stadium a couple weeks ago when I was in Northern California, and I'd never been there before. And I was looking at tickets. I'm like, I wonder what my view is going to be from these seats. I click on it before I buy them. I can do a panoramic view of what I'll be seeing from those seats. Takes the guesswork completely out of it before you spend your hard-earned cheese on some tickets. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time. Today's episode of Locked On Cardinals is also brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you have a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. We'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch, and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. Locked On Cardinals, your team every day. Brack joining me at BOBRACK on Twitter. Very simple question. A little bit more difficult to answer. But can this defense be a top 5 defense in 2025?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I think I don't think it's as far-fetched as you would have been able to, try to persuade somebody into believing that as it was earlier in the season. But man, what they're doing schematically with maybe the lack of personnel is pretty unbelievable. Like, they have a rising star, Nick Rallis, as their defensive coordinator, and he's supplemented by a really good defensive mind in himself in Jonathan Gannon. And it's a good duo. And, you've got a great mix of veterans, as far as Budda Baker and Kyzir White, and then, the youth from Darius Robinson to the really talented young members of the defensive secondary, Max Melton and Garrett Williams. There's a lot to be excited for. I mean, they're kind of building it a little bit backwards. I think they would have probably preferred to build it from the trenches to the back, but they kind of built the secondary first. But, you add somebody with Darius Robinson, you have somebody that's got more of an ability to get to the quarterback off the edge, and I think you really are cooking with gas defensively.
Yeah, and then B.J. Ojulari coming back. I mean, if he's even 80% of what you expect him to be coming second-round pick out of LSU, like, they've got $110 million to spend. They've got all the picks, and it's a choose-your-own-adventure. And Max Melton is somebody that, I've kind of given a pass to this year. He's played better than advertised, okay? Cooper DeJean is shattering, he's ranked so highly, and the Cardinals could have taken him instead of trading back. Obviously, Monti Ossenfort knew that was the range that guys like Kool-Aid McKinstry and Kamari Lassiter and Cooper DeJean were going to go. He saw his guy. He saw a guy that's a ball hawk that likes to hit people. He's a perfect fit for J.G. Nograles' system, and they snagged him. He's going to have that leap that Garrett Williams had from last year to this year to next year, and they're doing this without a pass rush. That's the craziest thing to me. It's like, and you have the ultimate safety net with Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson over the top. Like, if you have $110 million to spend and you're Monti Ossenfort, okay, and you're like, listen, they're probably going to add an offensive lineman, probably not going to overspend because he doesn't overspend. There's got to be a splash signing somewhere next year. Are you looking at the top-tier pass rusher? You're like, nope, that's him. We're going to grab him, and that's going to be it. And you're going to have B.J. Ojulari and Darius Robinson to complement up front. Is that what you do first?
I mean, doesn't Hassan Reddick finally make all the sense in the world, right? To reunite him with
I said that yesterday. Yeah, but and on the cheap compared to what it would have been.
Yeah, you get him on the cheap, and you can add him. You can supplement even with a guy potentially in your first round. Like, you could get a guy off the edge. I know that the guys over at ESPN, Field Yates and Mel Kiper had Jalen was it Walker out of Georgia, who's come off the edge, who kind of fits what they want from their off-ball linebacker, their outside linebacker. So it's like you can add top 50 pick and a free agent and to this front seven that's already playing so well. You probably still need some more interior help too, as well, along with Darius Robinson and Dante Stills. But yeah, doesn't that start to sound like a really good defense? Especially like Max Melton could be this defense's version of Richard Sherman, a guy that's going to play really nice in a system. And like, I'll push back a little bit. I think Cooper DeJean I don't know where he fits in this defense. Like, Garrett Williams plays that role, and he plays at a very high level. So they realize, like, hey, we've got our Cooper DeJean already, so we're willing. We'll get some draft capital in return. It just looked like a master class once again from Monti Ossenfort. So it's exciting. I mean, it really is exciting. I mean, you still hope like the offense could kind of step up because you're already getting good defensive performances. It's going to get better. Just imagine what could happen if you could just play that ultimate complementary football.
Yeah. I also did mention yesterday, like, it's got a Legion of Boom trajectory. I mean, they're a couple Hall of Famers away, but like,
that's it.
But the cohesion, like, Bobby Wagner wouldn't have been Bobby Wagner without the front, and Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas wouldn't have been able to do what he did if the corners weren't great. Like, it all works in synchronicity. It starts with giving Budda Baker pretty much what he wants. I think that at this point, he's made enough to where he's not going to be like, I need every single dollar, but he's, this is Budda Baker completely unlocked with the secondary that doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Like, that's been his entire career. There haven't been two bona fide corners that you could trust on this roster any year since he was drafted in 2017. Like, Patrick Peterson was by himself, and, he started to wane later. So, I mean, I agree. And it's almost sexier to have a great smash mouth defense than a high powered offense at this point. It's like, okay, the offense is having an off day, and the Cardinals also have some of the most fun skill position players on offense to watch. So this could be this brand new persona of Arizona Cardinal, but what's moving them along faster is that their defense is developing way faster than anybody would have expected, right? So that's what's setting up this runway to potential top 5 in 2025.
I think people wanted to be something else, and that's fine. But like, you brought in a defensive minded head coach who likes to run the football. He likes that to be a part of your offensive identity. If they can get some sort of semblance of a downfield passing attack, look out, because I think the rest of the stuff they really are going to that's kind of more their wheelhouse. And like the fun football, like, we all love to watch it. We all love to see, high flying offenses. I think they'll take that to an extent if it helps them with what they want to do really well. And that's, play defense and run the football.
The Patriots won Super Bowls with defense and running the ball. and an elite game manager, who's probably the best quarterback of all time. But, that's running the ball and playing defense. It's boring, but it's how you win. Alex Clancy, Locked on Cardinals, Brack of PHNX Cardinals, joining me here. Marvin Harrison Jr. conundrum. We're going to do this for like 5 minutes. I just want to ask you about it, but we're not going to go too deep into this. I talk about this every day. Next. This episode of Locked on Cardinals is brought to you by our friends at the College Football Playoffs with TNT. It's that time of year. The College Football Playoff is back, and with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting and high-flying excitement that you love. TNT sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern, leading to our first matchup, SMU Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions barn burner. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate, live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. Final segment here, Locked on Cardinals, Alex Clancy. Please go to the YouTube channel, search Locked on Arizona Cardinals. Hit that subscribe button, man. Turn notifications on. It's only going to get more fun from here. Brack of PHNX Cardinals joining me. Dear friend of mine, if I can get out of this view here really quick, I'm just going to, there we go. Having a great editing day here. But Marvin Harrison Jr., let me tell you what I thought before the season started when they drafted him, and it's kind of coming to fruition now. It has been an entire year. He was going to be the third option. There's that pressure because he was drafted 4th overall. They've got a top 12 back. They've now got a top 3 tight end, and it's a run-first offense. So I'm not worried about this. I was in the camp that they should have traded back for the 80% of the offseason and then realized that you take the best player available at 4. Mm-hmm. Are you worried about his progress through this season 15 weeks in, or is this a rookie being borderline third option in a run-first offense?
I am worried about it. Not panic button worried about it, but there's cause for concern that Kyler Murray, Marvin Harrison Jr. can't get on the same page. We continue to see looks like Marvin's running one route and Kyler's throwing it different. That's where I get a bit concerned. Like as far as Sunday's performance, it's not alarming to me. I thought they took their shots to Marv, and it's not there. It's stuff that can really kind of be remedied by more play together. It's like the back shoulder fade. The Christian Gonzalez play in the end zone was more credit to Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. I like what they did to open up the game. I mean, he catches 2 of 2 targets to start, and then the Patriots, give them credit, like they sniffed out like what they were doing, and Christian Gonzalez went and stopped a play that they ran that was successful. But I thought like they took their shots, and then they're like, okay, enough of trying to fix this right now. We got to focus on playing winning football and getting in the end zone. But I'll say, like, I think there's the way things have transpired. It's got to kind of mess with the confidence of the 4th overall pick, and that's something that if you don't kind of handle delicately and figure out, it could linger and it could fester.
Yeah. I think that it's better. You're talking about a human being here, not you. Like, we are talking about a human being, and not just, I'm talking about as an avatar that is the 4th overall pick football player. Mm-hmm. You'd rather have this than a Terrell Owens, get me the ball right now or I'm out of here kind of thing. Mm-hmm. He's coming to it with, at least in the forefront, the right demeanor for now. I don't know if that's a ticking time bomb. I have no idea. What I do know is with Marv that there hasn't been a lot of pushback on his play specifically. Like, there are 50-50 balls that maybe if he adds 10 pounds of muscle that he'll get. Like, his skill set, especially in those long drag routes from one side of the field to the other, which is where most of their success has been this year with Kyler and Marvin Harrison, especially for touchdowns, that's pretty much it. Like, he can find a hole in the zone. He's a good wide receiver, but it's like 50-50 balls, 100 balls. Like, he doesn't get and it's not all timing on Kyler. Kyler put it on his hands. It was either the first one or the second one. I can't remember. Yes, nearly impossible catch. We've seen him do the impossible, catching the ball with his feet when it's just him against the sideline. So the skill set is obviously there, but I don't know if either he needs to get faster or he needs to bulk up where those 50-50 balls, like his job is to go get football.
Yeah.
And I think he's left a lot on the table this year when he has had the opportunities, even though they weren't as many as you want them to be.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take a collection. It's going to take an entire offensive, brain trust. In the players included, like from Petzing to passing game coordinator, wide receiver coach Drew Terrell, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, to figure out how to get on the same page. Because I'm confident it's going to be the status quo as far as that contingent moving forward. And what's going to be the difference in between year one and year two. I do think we've reached the point in the season where it's like you passed the point of no return, where it's going to be what it is. And the opportunity of finding that consistency is come and gone. But you've seen some good things, and you've seen, like you said, a lot more to be desired from Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah. I mean, I think the JSN comparison, not just because they went to Ohio State, he was the third option. Doesn't matter what the options are. Like it's Trey McBride and James Conner. Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't drafted to save this offense. I think if you put Michael Wilson into the Marvin Harrison Jr. role for this year, it'd be the same. Like, maybe not as special, but I mean, it's close enough to where, say they took Joe Alt at 4. It's like the offense pretty much would be the same this year. Now, future pacing, probably vastly different, but yeah, I just think that this is just a blip. It's rookie year where it's a weird offense. You may have an OC that's not fit for now this skill set of players that they have. We don't really know what the future is going to hold. I think the Cardinals have done better than they're given credit for, all things considered, 7-7. Bo, tell people where they can find you over at the mothership.
Yeah, just like this, like Locked On Cardinals, we're talking about the Cardinals every day, 4:30 PHNX Sports over on YouTube, wherever you find podcasts. You can follow me at Brock, at Bob Brack on Twitter.
I was going to say Locked On Cardinals. Remember, without you, there is no me. Bo loves my tagline. I'll talk to you tomorrow.